host, Rileagh T. Chase. Thank you for watching Inspiration Whispers, where in a world where inspiration and purpose is so needed, we find it to help you change the world. So with me today, I have a wonderful guest, Lee Dumas. And oh my gosh, John, you have done some most exciting, inspirational things. Um, I just want to jump in with you here. I mean, you started a podcast 7 days a week. Nobody had done it before, really came out. I need to ask you, what inspired you to just go on and do this?
I believe today, by the way, as well as 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even 30 years ago, that there's really one fundamental truth. And that's, if you really want to be successful in this world, you need to become the single best solution to a real problem in this world. I saw it through my army days, through my commercial real estate days, corporate finance, in law school, all throughout my life. It just was so clear to me that the people that were winning at a high level were the best solution to a real problem, because people will beat a path to the doorstep of the best solution to their problem, but they're going to ignore the second best solution through infinity, because who wants the second best solution to their real problem? And so for me, I said, I'm not going to be the best business podcast that interviews entrepreneurs once a week, because there's like 10 of those shows right now. This is, of course, back in 2012. I said, how can I be different? How can I be unique? How can I be the best in a niche that I carve out for myself? And I realized that, hey, 0 people are doing a 7-day-a-week podcast with an interview with a successful entrepreneur. So I know that the day that I launch, I'm going to be the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. Now, I'll also be the worst. I'll be the only, and that's okay. And that was my focus, to be the best solution to a real problem that I saw in this world.
So a lot of people that I talk to, and I coach with, they're like, I don't know what the problem is. So how did you find this problem? How did you realize that this needed a solution?
So a lot of it needs to start from within, because the reality is this: you're not going to be passionate enough to create an amazing solution unless you really understand the problem, unless you really feel the problem. I mean, I'm looking at this quote behind you from Helen Keller. I mean, it's all about, it must be felt within. So, I mean, I can walk out literally today and I can see 15 problems that I can solve, but I'm not passionate about any of those problems. So I'm not going to be the person to solve those problems, because I'm going to do, not that good of a job. And then somebody who is passionate about it is going to swoop in and destroy me, because they actually have passion, desire, and the willingness to go all in on that. So for me, it started from within. I loved the entire just platform of podcasting. I loved being able to listen for free on demand, really targeted content that podcasting is. Like, I got the platform, I got the sector, I got the niche. And I said, well, how can I be disruptive within this niche? How can I create something that's not currently in existence? Because if I come in and just do what everybody else is doing, then guess what? I'm going to be at the bottom of the totem pole, and nobody's going to find me at the bottom of the totem pole, because people want the best solutions to their problems. So I had to keep niching down. I like to call it niching your flipping face off, until I found a problem that wasn't being solved. And that was that I was a person that was driving to work 5 days a week, that was hitting the gym on the weekends, that was going for walks with my dog, having all these different times to consume amazing content, wanting to consume amazing content, wanting to consume the interviews of inspiring entrepreneurs. But the shows that I would listen to, I can remember so clearly going on a run, hearing an amazing interview, being so inspired, but at the end of it being like, man, I've got to wait 6 more days for the next one to be released. And that was the
Yeah,
bump.
yeah, absolutely. So, you're using fantastic words, and to let the audience kind of know what made that content amazing for you. What what was it that attuned you to
I
it?
think the best word to sum it up in just one would be story. I loved the stories of successful entrepreneurs, and just their road to success, which included the struggles, the obstacles, the challenges, the failures. I mean, it's us as humans, we're always drawn to stories. That's why history, his story. Like, we love stories. And, when you hear the words once upon a time, like we all kind of lean in because we know we're going way back in time and we want to hear what's this amazing story that's going to unravel. And I love that whole part about hearing the stories of these entrepreneurs and hearing, again, their doubts, their fears. Because I'm like, I'm doubtful, I'm fearful right now about starting my thing. And to know that they were too when they started was so comforting. But then to also see what challenges and obstacles they encountered and how they dealt with it along the way and how they dealt with it poorly or successfully or somewhere in the middle, and learning from those tactics and strategies and failures and lessons, like that really just connected with me. And I said, man, if I can just really compile, within my own knowledge bank, all of these amazing stories that I'm hearing from these entrepreneurs, it's going to help me so much on my journey. Because there is a famous quote that's, history will repeat itself. And
Yeah,
that's going to happen. And so if I don't learn from history, from his story, from her story, if I don't learn from those stories, then guess what? I'm going to repeat the same mistakes that they made. And I want, of course, if possible, to avoid that. So that's why it was so valuable to me.
absolutely. And what I'm also hearing from you, and I really love this, is the balance of moving forward with looking, that 10% of looking back and not letting it hold you down, but allowing it to go, oh, I don't want to repeat that. Because, you know, 90% of our thoughts are in the past. Most humans, we think about the past a lot, but you looked forward and said, no, I want that. What could you, I mean, does that resonate with you? And could you unpack a little bit of like, how did you make that transition, or did you, or have you always been that way?
I think that is an interesting concept. I didn't actually know that exact percentage of 90%, of our thoughts are in the past. But there is one thing that I really resonate with, and that's the sunk cost fallacy. And I think that destroys more human lives than almost anything. The sunk cost fallacy is, hey, I went to 1 year of nursing school, so I'm going to be a nurse for the rest of my life. I went to 1 year of law school, I'm going to be a lawyer for the rest of my life. Even when people knew, pretty quickly that it was not the right path for them, they're not the right choice for them, they have this sunk cost fallacy of like, well, I spent $20,000 on one semester of law school, which by the way, I did back in 2007. I hated it. I fortunately had the courage, although there was a lot of fear involved with that, believe me as well, to quit law school and to walk away. And of course, looking back, was the best decision of my life. But so many of my other like law school peers were unable to do that, even though a majority of them felt the same way, because they had this sunk cost fallacy of, well, I've already invested this much time, energy, effort, money into X, Y, or Z. That even though that's in my past, it's going to dictate my future. Where I was just of this different mindset of like, man, I spent 13 months in Iraq. I was an officer in the army for 8 years. Like I saw how short life can be, how fragile life can be.
Yeah.
And I committed to myself that I was going to live from today going forward. I was going to learn everything I could from the past, but I wasn't going to let the past dictate me going forward. I was going to make the decisions in the moment that I truly felt with my brain, my heart, my gut, my intuition were going to be the best decisions for me to create the life that I wanted to create. And so that was absolutely the mindset that I was able to adopt moving forward. And it helped me out so many times because I started down so many bad paths, as so many humans do. But I was able to extricate myself from those paths because I knew they weren't the right ones for me. And I wanted to say, today's a new day. Where do I go moving forward? And there's actually a great Steve Jobs quote I'll kind of end this little rant with, which is, if you look in the mirror too many days in a row and don't honestly say to yourself, like, I love what I'm doing, it's time to pause and reflect. And listen, not every day you wake up, you're going to be like, I love my business. I love my life. I'm definitely on the right path. I can't wait to tackle the day. There's going to be bad days and off days and struggling days. But if that happens too many days in a row, then you need to pause and reflect on where you're going.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, I know we need to wrap up and we're moving forward here. And, I know you have a book out. Do you want to spend a little time about talking about your book?
Yeah, I'll be very brief on it. I mean, it's called The Common Path to Uncommon Success. It is a culmination of the over 3,000 interviews that I've done over the past decade with the world's most inspiring and successful entrepreneurs. I took their failures, their struggles, their successes, their wins, and I put it into a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. So if that's of interest, you can check it out at uncommonsuccessbook.com.
Awesome. I downloaded it. I have it on audio. So I
I
love
recorded it
listening to
right
it.
on this microphone right here.
Nice, nice, perfect. I love that because I've enjoyed it, and you do tell the story of what happened to you. So it's tangible, it's realistic, and you feel it. And I have enjoyed it so much. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. What's
Cool.
next for you?
It's a good question. And the answer is a big question mark, which I'm stoked about. Like, I love not having my future written already. And I know that we have a great business, a great team, our systems are in place, our tools, our automations are flowing. Like, what's happening with Entrepreneurs on Fire right now is not going to change for the foreseeable future. Like, we are a daily podcast interviewing the world's most successful entrepreneurs. That's not going to change. But we've got our systems down so well that I have a ton of free time at this moment. Like, I actually only work a total of 5 days per month right now. And those are 5 days, by the way, of real intense work. Like, today I'm doing 20 interviews on other shows. Tomorrow I'm doing 7 interviews for Entrepreneurs on Fire. So, like, the days that I work, I put in massive amounts of energy, effort, and bandwidth. But that allows me on the days that I'm not working to really kick back, relax, do some reading, do some health, some wellness, come up with ideas for other projects and things along those lines. So who knows what's next? I just know that we live in a very exciting world, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next opportunity that really catches my eye.
John, I can't wait to see. And I hope when you do, you allow us to interview you again to
Sure.
keep inspiring people, keep inspiring and creating the world that, you know, that you want to live. And that's what you're doing. And I think others can learn so much from you to take action and move forward and to remember to live now and forward because life is short.
Life is
We
short.
only have this moment and it's the only power we have over anything. So thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
It was great hanging out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you so much for watching. In a world where inspiration and purpose is so needed, we help you find it to change your world. I'm your host, Rileagh T. Thank you for watching.